Welcome to GBALL Vision. I hope you are doing fantastic tonight. We have a deep dive to do on this brand spanking new EDC Nymble T version 2. This is the next knife that will be released by EDC sometime at the end of July, beginning of August. There will be a drop for the version 2s. I highly recommend heading over to EDC's website and sign up for the mailing list, which I will have linked down in the description below. Another good way to get information about EDC products is their Instagram page. Between Instagram and the mailing letter, that is the absolute best way to get in on things that are coming, what dates, what times, all that sort of thing. Highly recommend it. Like I said, I'll leave it down in the description. So let's take a look at this brand new, beautiful boy. Now you're asking maybe how I was able to get this. I won this in an EDC Instagram giveaway, his 20,000th follower giveaway. So that is how I was able to acquire one so early. But we have a Nymble T Tanto variant version 2. And this thing, guys, is exquisite. Very well done. He's going to have a bunch of different flavors. He also has a DLC coated honeycomb and DLC blade coming. That sounds very appetizing to me. But what you're going to be getting with this drop is several different variations like this. And there are going to be speed hole versions, a couple versions of those. So you're going to have honeycomb and speed holes and a bunch of flavors in between. And you will not be able to get access to this exact version. He will be having the bronzed handles with the brass accents with a stonewash blade, I believe. There will not be no satin and bronze wash titanium like this. This is a one-off because of that giveaway. But in standardness, you're going to be getting a Tanto blade shape. Could be DLC'd, stone washed, machined satin, all depending on the version that you end up with. This one has a beautiful machine satin and then a hand satin on the flats. This is coming in LMAX steel. So we're getting, in my opinion, an upgrade from M390 to LMAX in more ways than one. The main thing being I'm just sick of M390. And then there's just other benefits to LMAX being a well-rounded steel for the most part. So I am stoked at the decision to go with LMAX over the M390. It's going to be a hollow grind. So let's see how thin this bad boy is. So this is a little different of the first impressions or overview that I've done in a long time. I'm more along the lines taking a first impression, so to speak, and an overview all at once. Because I did unbox these, but it was so helter-skelter that I really didn't do much on the knife itself because there was so much else going on. So I didn't really get to dive into any details while doing the unboxing. So about standard average there. Everything is looking pretty good. Going to be about 125 behind or on blade stock. And then if I can get this on the edge somewhat properly here. Yeah, that's coming down around 8-9 thousandths right there in that particular spot. So it's definitely coming down pretty thin. It looks very well done. Above QSP's normal finishing work. I mean, this is top notch for QSP. Then we move to the deployment options on this version. Unlike the Relative and the Ronin, you are getting the rear flipper back on this model. It's going to be identical to the version 1, which you'll see right here. It's basically almost an identical machine. There are some subtle differences, like up here on this flat area on the second edge. It's a little bit different where this was a flat, I believe. This is now a hollow as well. And then for the most part, I want to say the steel choice, you know, the handle choices, going with a different grind. I think a lot of everything is changing except for, you know, the features. You know, it's still a Tanto with a little belly, still got the same standard handle. So it's going to feel very, very similar in hand. If you have any of the other Nymbles or the other Nymble T, it's going to be very reminiscent in that. You can just tell it's a little more refined as well. Quite a bit more refined, I should actually say. It's just so well done, so impressive what John continues to do there at EDC. When I did get this, it was centered, nice and centered. Lockup is looking good there, about 35% or so. Like I said, you're going to be getting titanium handles. It will be a frame lock all the way around. You're going to get T8 hardware all the way around. You're going to have pivot collars, and they might look a little different than when I first won it. I decided to throw the Zirku tie pivot collars on this guy. I think it just adds that little bit of splash to make it look even more of a badass. And if I can someday get me a Zirku tie clip for this guy, I will definitely be snagging one of those. So why don't we get a little bit of dimension here, get some specs out of the way quick. So about 2.5 inches of cutting edge, 3 inches overall, and then just shy of 7 inches overall. It's going to be your standard Nymble length and edge length. Going to be very similar in its weight as well. So you're at 3.65 ounces for the V2. Yes, this does have a lanyard on it. I highly doubt it weighs that much. So there's definitely some weight relief that's been done. They look almost the same thickness. So I'm wondering if there's more milling that's been done. Let's do that one more time. 3.65. I know we're not going to get a good one because of that, but that cannot weigh that much. So yeah, it's definitely a few ounces heavier than the version 2. The version 1 is definitely a little heavier. So in my opinion, I think it's a great size, a great weight. Why don't we go ahead and throw it up against a couple of its brothers that I have here. We have the Nymble X version 2. We have the one-off Ronin here. It's going to be smaller than all of those guys. We can throw up the Relative here. Definitely going to be smaller than that guy as well. The Ronin's not much bigger, but it is still bigger. And then we have just an OG Nymble size here, which they are going to be, again, guys, identical. And I'll throw up one more just for fun here. This is the Exciton from Wee Knives, which is also a very good size knife, along with the Ziphius. You can see it's a mid-size knife, on the smaller end of mid-size, but still perfect for guys with even big hands as a nice secondary or fifth pocket knife. And some guys would definitely consider this a primary and would not carry anything bigger than this. So it's going to fit the bill for a lot of people. It should have a nice slicey edge, which we will take a look at here in a minute. The action on it, guys, is just phenomenal. The flipper tab works great. The front flipper works amazing for all the front flipper things that you could want to do. You can even thumb flick it out, reverse flick it out. I mean, the action is incredible. I have not done anything to this. I have not even taken it apart in order to get the collars on. I just took this side off, put it on, put it back in. So I didn't even have it apart for that. It does need taken apart, but I'll probably do that in a separate video so we're not stuck in this one so long. Since I ripped about half the page out, maybe we'll cut two if we feel like it. If my fan doesn't just completely mess everything up. So it's more of a straight. Feels like it might. I can't. It feels like it needs touched up, but then it doesn't. I feel a little bit. That's odd. There's times it feels really good, and then I don't know if the fan jiggling the paper around is messing. Because then other times it don't. Boy, that's strange. I might need to hit the strop a little bit. Now I'm really curious. Let me get out a thicker piece of paper. It wouldn't surprise me if this was used by John and whatnot, because this would have been one of his personal. See, it's cutting that just fine. How about that secondary edge? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sharp. It feels like it's lost its fine edge, but that it has its working edge. So that leads me to believe that this knife probably had some cutting done on it, which won't surprise me because these were prototype style knives that he got in to make sure everything was the way that it should be. So it wouldn't surprise me if this knife saw use on that edge, right in the garage or the kitchen or his workshop, doing some testing on that edge. I think that's completely possible because it looks really thin. It looks very well done. You have a nice thickness up here, but it comes down very thin. I'll throw it on the strop and then we'll see what happens. I don't have any doubts in my mind. You have this nice full-size finger choil. jimping up the spine of the blade. I mean, it's your Nymble refined over the course of a bunch of different Nymbles. So not only is this the second version of the Tanto variant, but you know, you can basically say all these are pre-volumes to this knife. I mean, it's all practice for the next one, especially when a lot of them are similar in design or very similar in design. It's just more mastering that goes on as each model comes out. And you can tell that he's went over this thing with a fine-tooth comb, and then he did it again. There's nothing I want change on this. Nitpicks and complaints. Just the edge coming a little dull, but I'm giving that a pass because he could have used this. I don't know the full backstory on this. I know it wasn't carried, but that doesn't mean it wasn't used to cut. And that could be user error too. I'm not real familiar with this knife, so there is that as well. I mean, the material choices are spot on. L-Max and some sort of titanium with different patterns or milling, different color packs as far as the hardware and clip. T8 on the hardware. This has pivot collars you'll be able to put on aftermarkets eventually. I mean, it's a great size. It looks beautiful. If you like the way that it looks, you like Tantos, and you like this size of knife or close, just under 7, I would say that's in many, over half the knife world's sweet spot is right here. And the cool thing about this Tanto blade is it isn't as quite as extreme as some others, just like its brother here. Some people would say this is a little more useful of a Tanto. So it's all in the eyes of, the purchaser. I think they're both ultra useful, and this one has its pros, and that one has its pros. But I think, buying this knife, you're buying John's name. He has a great name. I will continue to back him for the rest of his designing time. No question. And I hear things from people that he has done for them, whether it's, great customer service is what I will say. And not dealing with me, having great customer service with people that I know, taking good care of them. He's a great dude, making great designs, American dude, American family. He just continues to do great. And the crazy thing is, he has only just started. It's insane. That'll wrap it up, guys. I'll throw up 2 more EMP EDC videos for you to check out. Highly recommend doing so. If you're new here and you are not subscribed, click that GBALL Vision logo right there in the center of your screen. I would love to have you here. Otherwise, guys, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I am out of here.